So trade rumors came out, what was it, yesterday, 2 days ago, that the Miami Dolphins have entered trade talks with other teams. And the way it was worded was almost as if the Miami Dolphins were shopping Mike Gesiki rather than other teams calling them.
Yeah.
So before I speak, I know you're a big Gesicki guy. I know you're big anybody on the Dolphins guy, really. So please, why should the Dolphins not trade Mike Gesicki? What are your thoughts on that?
So the reason that they shouldn't trade Mike Gesicki is just for the fact that he's a different type of receiver in that room. You can't. I like the scheme that they're going with, which is lots of guys that have quick routes, get the ball in their hands, and go. But you don't after trading Parker. We don't have a big receiver that can go up and get the ball.
You do.
Go ahead.
Sanu. Sorry.
So,
Sorry.
so,
I'm not going to cut you up. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Sanu, I mean, he's washed up. Gesicki's still in his prime. There's a reason that Sanu fell off of the Patriots with that depleted ass roster. Excuse my language. That wasn't that bad though. But um, but yeah, Gesicki, I mean, we're probably not gonna have Preston Williams. He's already displayed his displeasure with the team. Even then, he's gonna be buried on that depth chart. We're not even sure if he's gonna make the team or Sanu's gonna make the team. So we need that big receiver that's gonna go out there and get it done. And I think most importantly overall, that if we're going to be so one dimensional as to not have that big receiver role, that I lose confidence in the coaching right off rip, just like that. Like, there's not a good team in the NFL or a good offensive team in the NFL that is so one dimensional like that. Even the Packers, meanwhile, they only had Devontae Adams for so long. They still had a good run game. But I mean, you're talking about all run game and then some quick slants. Like that's I don't think that's going to be sustainable. And Gesicki last year, or in the last 2 years, really, he's been that go-to man for Tua inside 2 minutes.
So I before I even start my spiel, I don't necessarily want the Dolphins to trade him. I'm not saying, oh yeah, we need to trade him. However, if there's offers on the board, I say we definitely look at it with a serious interest. I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. I think one way or another, no matter how good he does really this year, I don't think, unless he gets like, 1,200 yards or something ridiculous for a tight end, I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. We have to pay a lot of people. We have to pay Zeeler. We have to pay Wilkins. We have to pay Van Ginkel, as well as, just continue to revitalize the team. The offensive line still isn't that good. So you're going to pay a tight end that his best season was last year with only 780 yards. That's less than Dalton Schultz was. That's less than Goddard. That's always less than the big boys of Andrews and Kelsey, Kittle. Waller got hurt, so I'm not sure if it's more less than him, but he's not a premier tight end in this league, and he hasn't really developed into what we wanted him to be as a premier tight end. He's a big
Yeah,
body. He hasn't really learned how to block, and they say he's learning how to block on the go.
I've seen him like when we were watching the Dolphin game right there, and I was like, ooh, and you're like, oh, that's a 3 yard run. I'm like, I'm not saying ooh about the 3 yard run. I'm saying ooh about Gesicki held his block on a linebacker.
I'm not saying he's the
That
worst blocker in the league, but
so
he's not a good
but
one.
he's not he's by far from being a good block or being one of the top blockers as far as tight ends. I mean, there's a reason that Smythe played more last year than him. But I think so. He came in and during Gase. Gase used him as a blocker for one season, and he got absolutely he barely even ran routes his first season.
Yeah.
And there's people calling him a bust and Smythe a bust because they kept running Smythe on routes and running Gesicki on blocking. Then Brian Flores came in and he didn't block at all. They're like, okay, that's your weakness. So instead of working on your weakness, we're just going to only play you 55% of the snaps in the 3 years that I'm here. And you got 780 yards on 55% of the snaps. So you look at 780 yards for the season and say that's a bad thing. I look at 780 yards on 55% of playing
I
time.
don't, but I don't consider 55% playing time an excuse. I look at that as he's seen as a liability, so he's not going to be on the field. Him not being on the field isn't an excuse for him to perform not as good as he's capable
And
of.
I'm not disagreeing with you there. Well, we discussed this a little bit earlier. So last year, or even just Brian Flores' era, our offensive line was so bad. We
Yeah.
pretty much needed an extra offensive lineman on the line. So that's why can he block? I think right now with the coaching, he can kind of hold his own because I haven't seen him get absolutely trampled over. I haven't seen him really lose a block, given he's mostly going up against, second and third stringers so far. But still, holding your block is holding your block against a 300-pound guy.
Yeah.
So I think I've seen a lot of progress from him as far as blocking. He's done a lot of blocking in camp. We already know what he can do as a receiver. So I think if we can get him on the field more and make it less predictable that, oh, Geseki's on the field, we're throwing the ball.
Let me ask you this. So something we brought up earlier when we were talking was the Laramie Tunsil trade and how that just blew us out of the water. What would be an acceptable package of return for Mike Gesicki? I don't think you're getting a first round pick. You might get similar value to where he was drafted, and that's okay. Especially like I think he's going to be off the team next year, and he might walk for free.
Honestly, at this point, um, I I would take a second and either a third string corner because we're really bad on corners right now outside of X and Byron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do that or even a third tackle, a second and a third tackle, but it'd have to be a little bit more than a second round pick for me. Just a little bit more, like something that
Yeah,
gives
that's
us depth.
ideal. That's ideal. I don't think that's as realistic though. I think he'd be more talking like a third round pick and maybe that backup cornerback. And honestly, I would take that. I don't think just looking at Mike McDaniel and his time with San Francisco, we know we know what he expects from his players. We know that he loves yak. Gesicki's not necessarily best at that. He's not really best at breaking tackles, which as a tight end, that is the one thing you should excel in. You should excel in your physicality. We haven't seen him do that. He really is just a big wide receiver, a big body wide receiver. So he's not going to beat you vertically. I mean, he might get good placement and he has good hands. That's one thing. Like we know he has sure hands, but it doesn't fit the Shanahan scheme. It doesn't fit what we assume the Mike McDaniel scheme to be. And if he's going to walk away for free, I say just go ahead and get picked from him because I trust in Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe's not going to be a world beater. Durham Smythe's not going to be a Pro Bowler, but you know he can block. You know he can run some just close to intermediate routes that you're not asking him
Yeah.
to light the world on fire or even be a top 10 tight end, but he fits a role in this offense to me a lot better than Gesicki does for a fraction of the price. You're probably going to have to pay Gesicki like $15 million to stay, whereas Durham Smythe's making what, $4 million a year?
I think something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know the specifics on his contract,
So it's literally
but
a fourth of the price.
but Smythe and Gesicki are literally best friends also. So
That doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry.
I
This is a
I
business.
I know it's a business, and I know he's looking to get paid, but I think Gesicki's making like 13 million this year, and he's fine with that. So I think he'd be fine with 13, 14 million unless he has a monstrous year in which then he has to be paid like a top tight end.
I think he can find that
So
money elsewhere because there are teams like the Green Bay Packers that are really lacking in the offensive weapons category that do have the money to pay, or maybe even a team that's in a very win now mode that'll give him a 1 mil, $15 million contract. We has a better chance of winning a ring. Like I don't know what the Dolphins team is going to look like next year, but I think there's a strong possibility of Mike McDaniel just
but
not knowing what to do with him, which is why we've seen him play so much in the preseason games because McDaniel knows he's talented. But I'm not, no, by no means saying he's not a good tight end. I am questioning his production. 55% of the snaps means nothing to me. That is because I think he was a liability. But then you look at the actual production, 780 yards. His best touchdown season, I think, was 6 touchdowns. So you're not getting the production. There is promise there. There's athleticism, but there's no scheme fit. He's really desperate to find a place for him. This is the last year of his deal. I don't want to go and franchise tag him again and have that just hovering over him, hovering over the team. I want this to be resolved, and I think the
yeah,
best case scenario for both parties might just be trade him and get something back for him rather than him walking away.
yeah. But you just reminded me of something when you were saying touchdowns. In the Shanahan scheme, tight ends play a big role in passing red zone schemes. They're if you're in the red zone and they're passing the ball, tight end George Kittle was a big part of that. And Gesicki, he wasn't really targeted too much. I mean, you had Parker for the jump ball before, and then Waddle ran all those crossers for the touchdowns also. But Gesicki, I think there's plenty for him. Like, those little corner routes, just like stop and come back to the cone. I think he's almost like perfectly built for that. Just throw it up to him, let him go up and get it. We don't have someone like that on the team. Smythe's not doing that. Maybe Sanu, but is he going to be on the team? Is Preston Williams going to be on the team? Preston Williams can do that. But that's why I'm like, I think it's a better chance that Gesiki stays on the team than Preston Williams. And also, it's Mike McDaniel has said over and over again that we're not worried about the lack of run game that we have so far in preseason. A lot of fans are concerned. He's not concerned. I mean, given what are you supposed to say? But no one seems to be panicking. Everybody seems to be calm. It's because they're not really showing their hand right now. They want to come out and I guess surprise people. And
But they are showing Gesiki. Gesiki is the one guy that's been on the field, and we know what the tight ends are required to do in the offense. And because of how much, I mean, you were at the game last week. You were pointing out like, why is he on the field so much?
he was
He's
blocking most of the
trying.
time.
They're trying so desperately to find something for him to work this year, and
I
I kind of worry that it's not working.
I don't think that's the case because when I went back and I skimmed through my shitty Wi-Fi tape, and when I saw Gesicki on the field, a lot of the times he was blocking. He ran a few routes that he's always run, so it's nothing new. It's literally the same routes that he ran last year, but it was a lot of blocking for him to do. So I think it was really just to get him live game blocking. That's the reason he played so much. Now I'm still not a fan of him playing that long in preseason, just for the straight fact that it's preseason. Why am I going to put my best player out there to get hurt?
I disagree. If you have a player that you think can help the team out, but you have no idea what to do with him, go find out. If you deem that you can't do anything with him,
Yeah.
hey, what do y'all get for him? And because
Um,
I do think he will be traded. If he's gonna be traded, I think it's gonna be before the season starts. Because when you start cutting the roster down, especially since we're probably gonna keep three quarterbacks on the roster, you're gonna have to find space somewhere else. So if this is even a question as to whether he's gonna get dealt or not, I would like to see it done before September 11th, September 10th, but really, well, whenever it is that they have to go down to a 50-man, three-man roster, really, even because I don't want to let somebody else go and then decide to let Gesicki go, and then you're scrambling to find that last spot with a valuable piece.
yeah, and I understand you there. I just think I think McDaniel knows a little bit more than I mean, well, not knows a little bit more obviously, but I think
Probably a
he
little smarter
he's
than us.
he's hiding more than what people think.
I think he is with his
That's
offense overall, and I mean, obviously he is, but because Tyree, you haven't seen Tyreek Hill out there, we haven't seen Waddle out there, so obviously this isn't the full picture what he's going to be. But he's shown us what Gesicki's going to be, or what he's trying to make
I
Gesicki. He's not hiding Gesicki.
I don't I think he is because I think he's just giving Gesicki the blocking work because once again, he needs to work on his blocking. That's been an emphasis this entire offseason. Even Gesicki said it. And Gesicki said when he was at TEU, Tennessee University, that when he talked to George Kittle, blocking is a major part of what they ran in San Francisco. But George Kittle still ran a lot of routes. He still ran 55% of routes. But if Gesicki can be on the field and it not be, oh, he's on the field, we're passing it, or they're passing it, and it be just like a play giveaway almost.
Yeah,
That was the liability that it was before. If he can just not be that, I think that's what they're working on. I think he has some other schemes drawn up because there was one particular play. Um, a lot of people were actually uh, dismissing Tua for this particular play because it was another check down. When Cedric Wilson had a slight opening in between zone
I
coverage.
think I never played talking about the check down to the
So,
right.
yeah, check down to the right with Gesicki. However, people think that Gesicki ran all the way across the field for that. He didn't. He held his block there. Smythe came over and took over the block cleanly, and then Gesicki ran the route. So if you guys go back and watch that, I guarantee you'll see what I'm talking about, and you'll see that he got 9 yards on that play.
But why can't Hunter Long and Durham Smythe do that?
Hunter Long's made some progressions, but it's definitely
I don't like Hunter Long personally. I haven't seen anything positive from him so far. But
he lost us a game last year, so I'm not a big
tell
fan of
me,
that.
well, what game is that?
It was right before we had that big run. Tua passed to him, and then it ended up being intercepted.
No, that was the Jets game. We won that
Was that
game.
the
That was
Jets?
the Jets game. We won the
Okay,
game. But
never mind.
he hasn't even shown me anything. But Hunter Long can do that. Hunter Long can put in a block or two. He can run a short to intermediate route.
He's supposed to
Gis,
be sure-handed though. He's
Gesicki,
starting to
yeah,
pick
I
it
know he's
up.
still developing, but Gesicki, that's we want. If you're gonna pay somebody $15 million, I want him to do more in the offense. And I'm sorry, I'm not too enthusiastic about what his role in this team will be. And if we're gonna let him go for free, I'd rather try to get something
See,
for him
I
now.
think that's where we differ in our opinions is that you don't think he can develop and be more than what he is. I think he can.
And but even if he can, I'm not sure if he's worth that price tag.
I think he is. What where are you gonna
I'd rather
if he can develop and be that, there is no doubt in my mind that he is a solidified top five tight end.
that I don't think that's necessarily true. And also, let's say $15 million. Would you rather re-sign him for 15 million or go outside and right tackle for 15 million? All day, every day, I'm saying go get that right tackle because we have the offensive skill positions
Right
that.
tackles are going for way more than 15 mil.
But I'm just saying, I'm not saying like get the best right tackle in the league. But let's say you could pay a right tackle, whoever may be, like we saw like Lyle Collins. I think he signed for 17 million or something like that.
No, it was like 21.
Whatever it was. Let's say you put that money towards the offensive line, anywhere on the offensive line. I'd rather do that than sign Gesicki to a long-term deal where we're going to have Hill on a long-term deal. Waddle is going to be cheap for now, but we're paying Edmonds, Mostert, Michelle all combined like one like top tier running back
Well,
numbers.
most of our running backs are actually signed to 1 year deals besides Edmonds.
Yeah, but like saying
Edmonds and Gaskin are the only one on multi-year
those
deals.
three combined, they're being paid like a top, like one top tier running back type level.
Yeah.
Hill's getting $30 million a year. Gesicki would be 16. Teron
So
Armstead, we still need to build the rest of the offensive line. I just want to allocate that money onto the offensive line.
yeah, and I get you. And I wouldn't be opposed to like right now, obviously paying someone for the offensive line. I think between Liam Eichenberg and Austin Jackson, they need to figure out that right tackle spot.
Center. Because
Center,
Connor Williams is not a center.
I don't understand that.
Well, there's no options out. Like the one person we thought we would
I
say
think
JC Treader,
I
but
I honestly think Dieter might be a better center.
well
That
let's can that for the Dolphins
yeah,
talk later.
but
Let's wrap this up here. I think Gesicki, he's a very good player, but I think he's going to go away at the end of the season. I don't think there's a big enough role for him to me justify that $15 million.
I think that there is going to be a role big enough for him. And I think he's going to fill it very nicely. I would argue. I already said in our group chat. I'll bet anybody $20 that he's going to be on the Dolphins all season long. So,
Well, fair enough. I mean, that might be bad. I'd even consider taking at this point.
but it's to me. I feel like Mike McDaniel. He already came out. Mike McDaniel said that the trade rumors are misleading. So it's not that they made it sound like the Dolphins are going out and calling people. People are calling the Dolphins. The people don't think that Gesicki's going to fit our scheme and think that we're going to be open to trading him, possibly for cheap. However, Greer's not like that. He's not going to let a player go that, especially Mike McDaniel, really likes. He's not going to let him go for cheap. So like we were talking about, I take a little bit more than a second rounder for him. You take a third rounder and some
It's a
change.
backup, yeah.